Hello DNNers, welcome back to this mini-series about building DNN locally on your dev machine. I'm Peter, your stay-at-home DNNer, and in this episode we're going to look at Cake. Cake is one of the three build technologies that we're using in DNN. They are MSBuild, Webpack, and Cake. And Cake is a project that does building using C# files. If you haven't heard of Cake before, I'll bring up the site. You can find it at cakebuild.net. So Cake, in essence, is a PowerShell script that you download and you put it at the root of your repository. And you don't need to touch that. That just runs and the rest just bootstraps itself up. The only thing you'll need is a build.cake file next to it that it will assume that it will be the first thing to run, and it will look for the target or task default, if you like. Now, as you can see, this build.cake script is not very long. It's just over 100 lines, but in fact, it depends on most of the Cake scripts actually we put inside of a folder in the under the build script. So if we go here, you will see all the various Cake scripts that we've created to build DNN. Now, these do various tasks, and Cake is used to run both MSBuild and the Webpack parts of building DNN. And then, for instance, creating the install packages that you download and use to install a new DNN site with. So every time we check in code into the main repository on DNN Platform, in fact, what happens is that this Cake script will run and it will create the install packages so that we can see if it actually builds and whether it produces valid packages or not. For us, there are other scripts that are relevant for the purposes of this presentation, and particularly we're going to look at how we're going to create a working dev site later on. I would like to highlight a couple of scripts here. One being let's have a look, for instance, the versioning, how we do versioning. Well, for instance, here we have a task to update all the DNN manifests. And as you can see, Cake follows a similar convention as most other build tools where a task or a target has a name and you can specify dependencies. And so the task runner or the build runner, in this case it's Cake build, will ensure that those dependencies have run before this is being run. And as you can see, so to update the DNN manifest, we're first going to set the version and also set the package versions before we get here. Now, the set version task will look at what kind of versioning we will want to do. And maybe I should spend just a minute on this just to make sure you understand that there are three ways in which you can tune or tweak this system. You can say, well, I want you to version the whole thing automatically, meaning we do it just like on GitHub when we enter some code. That is the version auto. We can set it to off the version, meaning just use whatever version is in code, just don't touch the code, just compile whatever is in the code. Or we can set a specific version. Actually, we can say I want to build 970 and it will build it as if it was 970. And that's all done by settings. And the settings actually is a class that once Cake runs, it will create that file for us. And if it's there, it will load it, and that will give us all the details about how this installation is actually managed, like where our dev site is, what version we'd like to build, where our database is, etc. And we can then do things like use Cake to create a dev site. So that concludes what I wanted to say about Cake. Have a look around those Cake scripts. I certainly like this technology for orchestrating builds, at very least. The packaging Cake, for instance, contains all the code that actually creates the install package and the deploy package and the upgrade package. You'll find lots of interesting things here, and thank you for watching.